Let's break the mold, start believing, and stop waiting for the other shoe to drop. Welcome to Wild on 7, presented by Pilot Games. We're here until it's here.
Welcome back. This is Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast presented by Pilot Games. This is a pun, but what a wild week it's been for the local hockey club out in St. Louis. We almost have a goalie fight. We've got some great content because Marc-Andre Fleury happened to be mic'd up at the same time. What are the chances we're treated to that? That'll be in a wild game where the Wild win 8-5, lots of scoring, but they come home and then it's, they get an eye-opener. Boston, good club in town, couple goals taken away, quick bounce back against Washington. So it was a busy week for the Wild, lots of action. Were you watching the St. Louis game when all that stuff unfolded? And were you hoping that Fleury and Binnington were able to go at it? Because Binnington has all of a sudden become, public enemy number one, it seems like, in the NHL. He's like the new Sean Avery.
Yeah, he's working through some stuff emotionally, I think, over the last couple of years. He's erratic.
I think it's rat, because I think that's part of it too.
Yeah, it's hard. I wonder if you can be a rat in the net. Maybe he is, but our guest today, the 38 special, Mr. Ryan Hartman, goes into great lengths about sort of, a guy has a short fuse and you can push his buttons, and I think the whole league knows that. That report is out on Mr. Binnington,
which is great. Hartman, it was funny and interesting to recognize that he pays attention to who he thinks he can get under their skin, their equipment, whatever you want to say, and press the buttons and then get a response from them.
And the way they do it, I'm not going to ruin it, but his little comment he says to Binnington is so deep, and it's it's layered. The sort of the stuff that NHL guys do to get guys off their game is not what you expect. I mean, that's a deep cut he gave Binnington.
So the Wild, they scored a bunch of goals over the week, and two of them actually got taken away. We'll have to touch on that. But coming into this stretch where everybody knew they were going to be without Kaprizov,
and everybody was
scored 46,
not worried about
47% of their goals, and there was like a positive vibe around town where it was, this is going to end up being real good for the Wild. The other guys are going to be able to find their game, and then Kirill's going to come back, and everything's going to fall into place. And ironically, I think the positivity is paid off, because it seems that everything that the Wild needed to happen and what the fans wanted to happen has. They found their offense without Kaprizov. Guys have stepped up. It's been good. What's your take there?
Well, we've scored 24 goals in 5 games.
Should be 26.
Correct. And 25. Then, but they've also given up 20 goals in 5 games, which we can talk about. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what's happened. I think it must be interesting for Kirill to watch the games and think, he should almost be frustrated. Like, why? Where was this? When I'm out there with team on back, put puck in net. Where everyone put puck in net now. That was kind of a weird Kirill imitation, sort of extended. But I mean, it's got to be odd for him to just be like, where did this come from? What's happening here? I think the new guys, Johansson specifically, it's funny. Evanson always talks about Boldy needs to play fast. He needs to be pushed. If he's over speed, he's at his best. And I think for whatever reason, Johansson he just makes him play faster. You have to keep up with that guy. And you've seen an immediate impact there. Reeves is finding this office in front of the net, tipping in pucks. All the new guys are contributing. We have these sort of middle tier scorers that we were missing for most of the year, and I think that it's just all been unleashed. It's crazy. It's off the chain.
Yeah, I don't think you're ever going to rely on your fourth line to score goals, but you do need to rely on them to pitch in every once in a while. And I think the Wild have got timely contributions from those guys. So 97 goes out, and you think that you're going to have to find some scoring elsewhere. And these guys have stepped up, Ryan Reeves. And whether it's bounces or whatever, it doesn't matter. He's put some pucks in the back of the net, and he's helped the Wild win some games. But I think the one that's real obvious was Boldy. And everybody thought, okay, all of a sudden Kirill goes down offensively now. This is your team. Are you ready for it? 21 years old. He was sitting on 17, 18 goals, staring at a $250,000 bonus or somewhere near that. That could be distracting. Money probably doesn't matter for the young man. Wouldn't matter for me if I just signed a ticket for $49 million.
No,
But
not at all.
but a little more can't hurt. But yeah, I mean, you want to get all of those things, and he has stepped up. He's played well. Johansson's been a big part of it. He ends up taking a puck off the ankle and left the game, which, I think all of a sudden he went from 4th round pick. That's a flyer. We'll see if he can help this club to, oh my gosh.
He's the Fiala for Boldy.
Get him healthy.
He's Robin.
It's amazing what he's done in just a couple weeks.
Yeah, he's been an absolute electric company coming into the lineup. I don't know if it's come out how badly he's hurt, but it's interesting. The thing that hasn't happened, so Kirill got hurt, and there's this 3 to 4 week timeline. I've never once heard someone talk about when he actually got hurt. How far into the timeline are we? I had to go back into my phone today and say, okay, he got hurt on March 8th against Winnipeg. 15th is a week, 22nd coming up here is 2 weeks. In theory, if he was coming back at his earliest, it would be the 29th, next week, April 5th, if it was a 4 week timeline. So I think minimum what's happened is we've been very distracted because there's been tons of scoring, firewagon hockey, goalie fights, Hartsy being Hartsy. It's been very entertaining. It's like we got to visit the 1970s for 2 weeks, which is not a bad thing.
And there's no inside information here, but Kirill is never disappointed. So if the timeline is 3 to 4 weeks, something tells me he's a little special. So it's going to be on
April 5th is 4, so it's going to be March 29th.
Yeah, it's going to be, something tells me it's going to be on the short end of that. And that's just straight speculation based on how that dude delivers. And everybody will be obviously stoked in that locker room included, but the Wild have done a nice job. Watching the Boston game, because they're the cream of the crop and the best team in the NHL. I don't think that they have too many weaknesses in their lineup. 2 good goaltenders. Their defense core is extremely solid. Up front, they've got 2 lines that are great, a 3rd line that's dangerous with the Charlie Coyle line, 4th line that is very serviceable as well. So like they're deep everywhere. They came to town, the Wild stuck with them. They end up dropping that game to them. But a lot of it, I think, was because they got the wind taken out of their sails with the 2 goals that they end up scoring were Boston challenges, and they win those. But in terms of the Wild using Boston as a measuring stick, I think they walked away from that game, despite losing, feeling pretty good about where they're at right now.
Boston's a really interesting team. So they're sneaky, violent. So if you were to play Boston in a 7-game series, 3 or 4 guys are getting injured on your team. It's these little plays away from the play. They got guys like Frederick. McAvoy's a tough D man. And the other thing about them is they're sneaky good. They're out shooting you. You're kind of looking at it. It's sort of close, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, they got 35 shots and we have 22. And if you blink, that perfection line, all of a sudden it's just 3 to 1. And once you're down, you sort of have this feeling like, yeah, man, I don't know. If we're losing 3 to 1 to the Bruins, that's going to be hard. That's going to be real hard. So they are, I think they're certainly the best team I've seen this year. We went to overtime with them very early in the year when we were dealing with all of our ups and downs. But it'd be interesting when Kirill back in the lineup, what it looks like against the cream of the crop. But I thought we showed pretty well, but they're nasty, man.
They're nasty, but I also think that some of that is the big bad Bruins of the past. And I touched on it in the broadcast that they don't have Lucic, they don't have Chara, they don't have Sean Thornton. There's a lot of guys that they had that brought toughness to that Bruins logo that I think people still think are there. They're still like a physical team and a heavy team, and they have the agitator in Marchand, and Coyle's a power forward, but he's not a mean guy. Frederick doesn't seem like he's a mean guy out there. So I think that they play hard, but they're not that tough. I think the Wild actually are a tough team. Now let's fast forward 24 hours. The Wild play Washington. How about the Ryan Reeves show? And it was kind of fun to watch how that third period unfolded and what Evison was doing with the lines and the groupings, getting guys on the ice. So Matt Dumba makes that hit on Kuznetsov.
Smokes him. And it looks like a good hit, clean hit. And the GM meetings just end where everybody says that they're tired of having to fight after a good quality, clean hockey hit. And what can we do? That's what happens.
It is what happens. What can we do to get that out of the game? The referees end up calling an instigator on Oshie, which is, I think, the first step in getting that out, making them pay for that in terms of having to play shorthanded and then missing TJ Oshie for 17 minutes. But it's what happened after that intrigued me. So you've got the Russians, Kuznetsov and Ovechkin. Ovechkin's next shift after that power play expired, he goes out and he and we showed on the broadcast, he hits Spurgeon hard once, the puck comes back around, he cross-checks somebody else, and then goes after Spurgeon again. And it wasn't terribly malicious or dirty, but it looked intentional a little bit. Where
he was running around, and you don't usually see 8 running around. He was running around like a Tom Wilson.
Yeah, he wanted to prove a point. And then that forced Dean's hand into saying, okay, well, I've got to make sure that my guy, Jared Spurgeon, isn't being, the guy, or isn't the guy that they're taking liberties on. So Ryan Reaves comes out, and I'm going to look at the stat sheet, but Ryan Reaves, I think, played every other shift down the stretch in that third period. And Tom Wilson, quiet.
Yeah.
Right? Real quiet. And that's the value that Ryan Reaves brings in that situation, is keeping a guy like Jared Spurgeon healthy, where Ovechkin has to think twice about running around. And not because Ovechkin's afraid of anything. It's just like, okay, well, if this is how things are going to unfold, I'm going to hit that guy, he's going to hit this guy, people are going to end up getting hurt, and then somebody's going to have to answer to Ryan Reaves. And I thought it was just interesting how he'd put pairings out there. He had a meat line going at one point. I think it was Duhaime, Dewar, Reaves, Middleton on the back end, and he just put all the tough guys out there and just said, okay, we'll see what happens.
Well, Reaves' nickname could be Checkmate, because once he's out there, it's sort of, you just watch the body language. Like, what's Wilson going to do? He's going to do nothing. And I do like seeing Red Deer Matt Dumba make an appearance. I remember watching his videos before he came to the pros. He used to make that Scott Stevens hit on a nightly basis. And that is a play that Wilson makes, right? That's where Wilson gets into trouble. It's a hit just like Matt did. It's usually dirtier than Dumba's was a clean hit. But, yeah, it's funny. We do got to give Reavo his credit. He's kind of a walking highlight reel in terms of his content, the type of stuff he puts into the world. But he does have 13 points through 50 games. His career high is 20 points through 80 games in Vegas. So he's found something, and he appears to have a different toolkit than maybe people thought.
Well, he's taking a page out of Erickson X book. I think if that fourth line is in the offensive zone at any point in time,
he's standing in the
take a screenshot of it.
He's running right to the net.
It doesn't matter if there's a cycle going on in the corner, if there's a loose puck in the high slot. He is not leaving that net front, and he's being rewarded for being there right now. Pucks are going in off of him. He's even just a couple of his assists, just slapping pucks around, and they're finding tape and extending plays and stuff like that. But he is parked right out front, and it's working for him.
Yeah, no, for sure. Hey, what's your thinking on the goaltending, right? So this is, I think, it's funny, when we started this season at the beginning, we used to say, like, we haven't had a moment, it's felt sort of like joyless. Ends up being a great year. We've been doing this podcast for 2 years. It had a different name, but it's really been 2 wonderful seasons to be doing this podcast. It's been a lot of fun, both what we've got to see. But what do you think, now I just have no idea what they're going to do now, right? Because it was kind of like Gus. Gus was he was our structure goalie. When we're playing like the Carolina Hurricanes and winning 2-1, Gus is calm and net.
Yeah, it's the Thunder Jacket.
I know, but now Fleury is like this winner goalie, right? He's won 7 in a row or something. And okay, if it's 1970s night and everyone has a small mustache and there's fights and we're having fun and tarps off afterwards, that's the Fleury show. And so I know Billy wants to play a couple different ways, but it'll be interesting to see when we get into the playoffs who starts game 1.
I don't think this is a cop-out, and I was asked this on another outlet. Who starts game one? I have no idea. I've been predicting the goaltender wrong all year. And it may come down to a situation where they just say Fleury's getting game one, Gus is getting game two, or vice versa. There's a lot of hockey to be played yet, and I do think that performance down the stretch is probably going to dictate a lot. But I think that it's a massive endorsement to Gustafsson, who got traded here as what seemed like a throw-in to help Talbot get out of town and find a different opportunity for himself. And what came in return was just Gustafsson, and then we'll see what happens. He went from a very distant number 2 behind Marc-Andre Fleury, battled himself up to a 1A, 1B, to they kind of have 2 1As that they're comfortable with right now.
Starting the Boston game at home. I mean, there's signs, right?
And that's what I mean. So they're totally comfortable with both guys, and that's a massive endorsement for the game of Gustafsson to have gone from a distant 2 to a 1 over the course of the season. Now, how that plays out in the playoffs, I still think it's not determined yet. And if I were to guess, it would be a straight guess. I have no idea what they're doing.
The only thing I think you can trust is tone, right? So Gus settles you down. And so if I'm on the road, hostile environment, just things are going crazy, win a road game, right? Stay tight, stay close, and steal a road game. That feels like Gus, right? Where Fleury seems to be in these, he's a gamer, right? And if you don't even know what kind of game this is, but you got to come out the right end, he seems like he could do that. So I do think it's a luxury to have kind of this wild side goaltender with Fleury, and then the blanket we can throw over the fire with Gus. So it'll be interesting.
I think opponent might matter too.
I think so too.
So if you get into a spot, let's say Calgary passes Winnipeg and they are in a playoff or a wild card spot, and the Wild end up winning the division, and they play a wild card team and it ends up being Calgary. I see Calgary as a team that Gus would really excel against because they're not terribly creative. They're not east and west a lot. It's volume with them, rebound control, and that seems like right up Gus's wheelhouse. Like, play the percentages, big body, block, make your save, no second chance opportunity, skate away with the win. Where if all of a sudden you get to a spot where Dallas continues to play well, they win the division, and it's Minnesota versus Colorado, Marc-Andre Fleury might be the better guy to go against Colorado. The athleticism, the ability to go from post to post in a fraction of a second to rob a backdoor feed from a guy like Nathan McKinnon to Rantanen. That actually might matter too, the opponent down the stretch. But both guys seem to be playing well. Both have actually slipped in their games a little bit since Kaprizov has come out.
A lot of goals, 20 goals against.
There's a chance for one of them to separate if they can tighten up quicker than the other.
Yep, I agree. One thing, I haven't lost any sleep since Kirill's been gone.
Well, and that's important.
It is important.
You look fresh.
The reason for that is I've been reaching out to mygemsleep.com/wild, because if you think about 30 million people with sleep apnea, but only like 5 million of them have been diagnosed.
At least 25 million people that need help.
Walking zombies. And I think it's time to say goodnight to sleep apnea, and these guys are the way to do it. It's like a concierge. It's like Uber for your sleep apnea. Call them. Maybe it's your partner. Maybe somebody's snoring. Maybe you got a crabby husband, crabby wife, crabby mom or dad. You can tell them to reach out to mygemsleep.com/wild. Local company, know what they're doing. It worked for Cart's mom, and that's just a good standard. So check out My Gem Sleep.
Speaking of that, so my mother did go through the process, says it was terrific, and concierge, they sent her machine. She's been using it and happily using it. Saturday, she went to the Boston game. That's a 1:00 game. And it
fell asleep?
Nope. I think it was late at night. She was still out dancing. So the quality of sleep has increased, and she's got the energy to live her life to the fullest. So make sure you check those guys out.
I picture her at like Mancini's dancing. Is that where she was, or where does she go?
I don't know. I only got snaps from my sister. So
I love it.
Speaking of my mother, she lives in the Northeast Metro as well as I do. And there were plenty of storms last year, hailstorms, and it seemed like they came with a great amount of frequency. And one thing I didn't know John, is that hail damage can show up after winter. So you'll have these particles of your roof that will get embedded and the snow will come, and as it melts, they'll roll off. And storm damage can be detected after a winter in that storm. So if you're one of those people in that and the Northeast Metro that experienced some of those storms out in Stillwater, White Bear Lake, make sure you guys check out or give a call to wildconstructionmn.com. They've got a great referral, or not a referral site, but a thing on their webpage where you can go click on it, pick out your house, put your address in, and they'll tell you if there were storms in there, what day the storms were, what severity of the storm, and then all of a sudden they'll work on that process with you to make sure that they have somebody come out and check. All that stuff is free of charge. So if you were in one of those areas last year, don't hesitate to reach out to these guys. Check it out. It's a pretty cool little thing that they have there too. wildconstructionmn.com. They will make it happen.
Awesome. Are you excited? This is our first return guest on the podcast.
I am, yeah. It was fun. We had a good chat. It's a long chat too. That's why we're just going to throw to the interview, and then it's going to kind of end there, and you can take it in chunks if you can. But usually we have a guest for about 20, 25. cough button.
I knew it was going to happen.
So walk me through this, because you've talked about having this anxiety when you get a tickle in your throat.
Hey, so let's just keep it live.
This is therapy.
So here's the deal. When I'm not live when we do this podcast, right? It goes on TV after the fact, but for whatever reason, the second I'm sitting here, I'm like thinking about my nose running. I'm thinking about coughing. And I would be a horrible heart surgeon. Like the second I'd get in there, I got the blade, right on his heart. And I would even if it was like July, it's 95 degrees, I would like sneeze or something. It's like in my own head. But I couldn't get to the cough button. Brutal. I don't know if we cut this out or what, but the thing I'll tell you about Hartsy
I don't think we do.
We might not. This guy,
So you think at the game operation. Like you
Yeah, I got yips. I occasionally will just throw stuff too. Like I might be holding a cup of coffee. I've had this happen to me multiple times, and I'll just launch it, just throw it against the wall. Yeah, not good. I could not be. My brother's a pilot. I hope he doesn't have it, but I definitely got. I'm bound up. I need to work with Ness, the skills guy at the Wild, and get loose. But I think the thing I like about Hartman, we've interviewed so many players this year. And I would say, as far as glue guys go, almost anyone you ask, okay, you're going to, you got a green light, or you're going to go to, Bunnies and rip some pull tabs and hang out with some of the boys, who's on that list? It's usually Hartsy, and, Dumba's on that list a lot as well. I think they're tight friends too. But I just thought it was so fun to talk to him on the heels of that St. Louis game where Hartsy was being Hartsy in that game. And even to run him through the game, what would Hartsy do, and kind of the levels of ratdom, and how far is he willing to go, and some of this gamesmanship that he does. But yeah, it was easy. I didn't even realize we were talking to him for 45 minutes because he's just kind of a dude.
Right, he's just there to hang out. It was nice of him to give us that much time. So with that, we'll throw to the interview. Here's Ryan Hartman. All right, well, with us here today, we have the only repeat guest of the podcast, to my knowledge, which is
true.
Pretty fun. We're going to have to dig into some of the stuff that we unearthed in the first interview. But before we do that, we have to thank our sponsor, Duke Cannon. What's the...
It's going to be work harder, smell better.
Boom, Duke Cannon.
Teamwork.
He's a big fan of Duke Cannon products. Ryan Hartman is with us here today. What's your go-to? Is it the bourbon scented body wash?
Bourbon something. Yeah, it smells leathery, bourbony. I don't know how to describe it.
It keeps the beard clean, though.
Yeah.
Let's get right to that, because we had Zuccarello on the podcast, and Boogergate was a big deal last year, and he said that you maybe weren't as thankful for him taking the booger from you.
It's a pretty selfless play for sure by him.
Yeah, but he said that maybe he wouldn't do it again because you didn't go out of your way to say thanks for grabbing this booger off my face and looking out for me in that spot.
Yeah, I could have been more appreciative. At first, I thought he was just messing with me. Give me a little face wash.
Just the Erickson X Special, a little face wash.
Yeah, maybe I gotta I'll give him a big thank you today. I don't even know if he'll remember.
I think he did remember. He remembered the play when we asked him about it.
Yeah, he zeroed in on it. That was good.
He holds grudges pretty good. So,
How come you're not wearing green on St. Patrick's Day? You got to be Irish, right? Are you like full load Irish?
no, Scottish.
Oh, no Irish at all?
I don't think so.
Nice.
I did one of those 23andMe things.
Did you guys get to go out and about today? Ish?
No, I mean
This is
we got
Boston tomorrow.
Boston tomorrow. We got something at the Children's Hospital at 2:00. Maybe after the game tomorrow, stop by somewhere.
So this game the other night, it was so fun to watch as a fan. It was like wake your wife up game is what I mean, just bonkers. Barnum and Bailey, so many things happening. Was that game as fun to play in as it was to watch? What was that like?
Yeah, it was WrestleMania night in the ring too. It was Ric Flair was there.
That's right. So, like the arena, the activation was WrestleMania.
Yeah. I think it just set the mood for the whole night.
Did you get any time with Flair?
I did not. I didn't actually see him when we got off the rink though, or I got off the bus on the for the game. There were people waiting in the loading dock with his Nature Boy jersey. Yeah. So we knew actually from right then, that was kind of when we first found out he was coming, but he didn't probably show up till later.
So TNT did this whole breakdown of how they thought the game turned into WrestleMania, but I think they missed the start of the fuse with you, and I want to see if I'm accurate. So early in the game, you have a breakaway, and Binnington puts his glove here, and you shoot into it, and he kind of like, he's a little, in my head, I was like, that's the moment Hartsy's wires crossed when he did the glove save and kind of moved his hand. Was that when you kind of filed away like, we'll see you later, Mr. Binnington? Do you remember that play?
No, I definitely remember not scoring. He's usually not in the net when I score against him. He's usually behind
the net.
Yeah, usually behind the net.
Shots fired.
No, I actually didn't even see that, to be honest. Started with him spearing Ecker in the end of the first period.
And that's what Fleury was talking about, right?
Well, Ecker was held from behind with his head up, like always, and he came up into the pile and gave him
A little special.
Yo, bag check.
Yeah, bag check, and then I was pretty pissed off about that. Kind of just let it settle because we were down 3-1, and then we scored 3 goals to make it 4-3. They called a timeout. And then I went out there and just told him to stay in it. You're all right. Just stay in it. You'll be okay. And he didn't like it very much.
Like acted like you were his teammate. Like it'll be okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be all right, man. Just stay in this.
It's
You got
okay.
this. You got this.
Stay in it.
And that's when he started coming over to our bench and mouthing off. And and then before that draw, actually on that power play that I scored on, I actually told the ref, Kelly Sutherland, I'm like, hey, Bennington's going to take a penalty this shift. You might want to, because I was going to stand in front of him, expecting him to
whack you.
To whack me. So I'm like, just keep an eye out on him. He's like, I'll watch out for him. And yeah, sure enough, his wires crossed.
But you actually tried to get out of his way, it looked like.
I did. I mean, I may have skated towards the net, but Zuccarello, I mean, if you draw a perfect line from where I shot it to where Zuccarello was in the celebration, it was a relatively straight line.
Yeah.
He did this weird thing where he pushed back out of the crease after sliding all the way over to the post.
Yeah.
And I was on 1 foot, so I couldn't really go anywhere at the time. So,
Did he get you good with the blocker, or was it more?
I don't know what side.
It looked like he hit both you and Zuki in the head somehow.
Yeah, the corner kind of like clipped my lip and may have got Zuki a little bit.
Yeah.
I had to give him 2 apologies today.
But you went down. Okay, so you go down.
Yeah.
But then they showed like an angle of it too, where like you scooted out of there right away. Like, were you concerned that because it looked like you could be stepped on something, but you had like a nice goalie move too, like the side shuffle, like a little
shuffle.
Yeah, you got out in a hurry.
Yeah, I got my hand stepped on in junior, so like anytime you're in a
Down
bottom
there.
of a pile, I kind of
The bottom of a pile is a scary place.
I always kind of like cover my neck and my wrists and stuff down there. But yeah, I was kind of more just trying to get out of there, and I was actually standing next to Kelly Sutherland, and I'm like, this has got to be a 5-minute, just trying to get in his ear a little bit. But yeah.
And then you maybe set a record for most penalties drawn because then didn't Shen get a 10 basically after 2?
Shen got a 10.
Shen came over after for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Hit you, and then something happened. But he got the 10 for yelling at the ref, maybe?
I don't even think so. I think it was for coming all the way over like that, maybe.
Just keeping it going.
And I talked to Shen about it afterwards. I was like, that's kind of like, yes, it's a ridiculous call. Maybe he's trying to take control of the game.
Yeah.
Because then it can start to get out of hand at that point.
Yeah.
Maybe he was trying to, take control a little bit. But I see both sides.
What did you think when you see a top 3 Hall of Fame goalie of all time sauntering down the ice, gently setting the helmet down? And I mean, I didn't know what was happening. I mean, does that has to feel great as a teammate? And what do you think would have happened there?
I've seen Flowers fight in juniors. He can throw them. I know he said he's fought twice, and both times I know one time he broke his hand, another time he might have broken a finger or something. So probably don't want him fighting for us.
You're hitting something then. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's usually it's not your face that's broken, right? So it's a pretty good thing, I guess. But I think he definitely knows how to throw them.
If I'm analyzing that from the league's perspective, the reason that the refs or linesmen can't let him go is you can no longer fight without your helmet on. So like back in the day when somebody had a visor, you just pop the helmet off.
Right.
And then you'd fight. But now as soon as a helmet pops off, the refs are like supposed to come in and stop it so guys don't fall and hit their head on the ice.
Well, there was a big thing too. I remember, I think in juniors, at least for me, where guys would unbuckle the helmet, grab each other, and take it off of each other.
Yeah.
And then fight.
Right.
It's kind of like the loophole around it.
Right. So this is weird, but let's just do this.
Right.
So Flower was mic'd up that night, which is going to be amazing when that comes out. But what the refs were saying was he was already tossed. Bennington was tossed out of the game before that fight would happen. So he's gone. So he can't fight. So they've already ejected him from the game. So now they have to get him off the ice. They can't be like, you're off the score sheet. You're no longer a part of this game, and then let him go scrap for 5 minutes. So I think that's why they were so particular about not letting those two go.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, referees need to do a better job of
wait a minute,
or no, like getting like an MLB umpire type of toss. Like they need to make it obvious that dude's toss.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Usually in
line
those
it up
goalie
and
fights,
boom.
it's the players fighting, and the refs are breaking up the players, right? The two linesmen.
Yeah.
And the goalies come in. There's no one watching the goalies.
There's nobody left.
Right.
Free referees.
In this
I've had
situation,
referees that will not break up a fight. They just pull out their pad and start taking notes.
in this situation, he was the one trying to fight us, so the refs were on him the whole time.
Yeah, the lines.
And there was
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they didn't let him go, because they were kind of holding him the whole time.
That game was the best. I like wrestle hockey.
It probably had to set the record for the longest second period of all time. Too.
That was the longest second period. And then
Six goals. How many goals was there? It was unbelievable. Fights, melees.
And then with the whole the neck came off. Flowers' neck came off, and there was a big talk about, did he do it on purpose?
Yeah, his back. Yeah.
There's this it was probably about 2 minutes, and then them trying to get the net back on, 2.5, 3 minutes. And then they realized it's supposed to be a TV timeout. So then they take a TV timeout and shovel the ice, and it was like another 3-4 minutes. I was like, this is the longest period ever.
Yeah, that was a long one. So what's the art to being an agitator? Do you purposefully try to be an agitator or to agitate, or is it just like that's how you play? Like you just get into the game and this is what happens?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain guys that I feel like I've always tried to egg on a little bit. Binghamton,
purposefully a little bit?
Corey Perry, especially early in my career, was a big one. Binghamton has always been a big one. Yeah, there's definitely always been.
So you like to target the guys that you know you'll get a response out of.
Yeah, for sure.
Who gets under your skin? Like a guy where you're like, maybe you don't want to show your hand, but a guy where you're like, man, this guy, he can wind me up.
There's really not many. Maybe like a Nick Cousins or something, but he really doesn't do much, so it's hard to even pay attention. It's like having your little brother mess with your leg, and you're just kind of just
throwing a matchbox car.
Yeah, you get out of here.
And what's the most annoying though is a guy that is like that, but it ignores everybody else, or pokes you, but then skates away. That's what I always found to be the most annoying is like a guy that will kind of instigate a little bit, but then they just
There's a guy that won't
ignore you when you call him on it. Like, okay.
that guy won't back it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like if you're going to say something, then if I ask you, like, call your bluff.
Right.
And you're like, no, that's fine.
Yeah, no. Or just ignore it. Like, skate the other way. Or, those dudes are the absolute worst.
Nick Cousins for sure.
Wild on 7th is sponsored by Jimmy's Salad Dressings and Dips. You probably got a leftover Reuben, a leftover Rachel somewhere, the makings from St. Patrick's Day. Pick up Jimmy's Thousand Island dressing and celebrate St. Patrick's Day, I don't know, a couple weeks later. It's like a Shamrock Shake, in early April. So look for Jimmy's Salad Dressings and Dips at Cub Foods or Hy-Vee. They're usually in the refrigerated section. That's Jimmy's, local company. Don't ya be messing with my dressing. Should we get into super hard-hitting hockey questions that we usually do?
Yeah.
Okay. If Kirill and Zuki are peanut butter and jelly, what are you? Are you the bread? Are you a juice box? Are you applesauce? Are you a Capri Sun? Or are you the brown bag? Or other? Are you the chunky nut in the peanut butter? That seems
like
weird, though.
Potato chips.
Chips. Like
potato
regular
chips.
Lay's
You're the
or
salty.
Like a Lay's potato chip in there.
regular standard yellow bag?
Inside the PB&J.
You ever do that?
No.
Oh, that's a great call.
Like a Lay's potato chip inside your sandwich?
Just open it up. I don't know if I've ever done it with jelly, but I'm sure it's just as good.
It's got to be.
You just layer the potato chips in there, and then just close it, and then it's a crunchy peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Give it some crunch. God, that's better than all the choices we had. That's very strong. You have something?
No, go ahead. Let them rip.
These are serious. I mean, this is
Yeah,
like
these are
this
great.
is a lot like 32 thoughts. This is hard hitting stuff. Tell us about the new guys. All these Swedish mafia, house mafia. Like, is it weird to have the Swedish national team in your locker room now?
I actually just saw a map of the first time of where they're all from, and we cover the whole
It's the whole.
country. We got up north with Sundqvist, and then Gustafsson is just a little further south, and then we got the whole West Coast, whole East Coast. We got everybody, or whole country. So it's great. But yeah, they love it. They're. I mean, I think it's good. It's obviously guys like Ecker, and I mean, they're all kind of Americanized at this point. But I think it's nice to kind of, if I was over in Sweden, it would be nice to have 6, 7, 8 Americans on my team.
And are they the sauna guys, like with the hats? Is that the Swedes? I forget. I saw the.
I think it's more Finns.
Finns, the Russians. We bought a few on Amazon, but they're definitely like a Russian sauna hat.
What are they for? Do you know?
Well, your hair and your head gets really hot in the sauna, especially when you're cooking it up pretty good.
And that keeps it cool
And it
somehow,
keeps
so it
it-
insulates it?
Yeah, I think just so you can stay in longer.
Seems like it would do the
That's-
opposite.
No, it's actually you can stay in there a good 4, 5, 10 minutes longer.
Did we ask you first time around why you wear 38?
You might have. I don't have. That was my prospect number in Chicago.
That seems to be the story for a lot of guys. Like
Yeah.
Spurge, 46 was his number, so that's what he stuck
And
with.
then made the team out of camp 1 year, and then it's Christmas time. I'm still 38, and now that I think about it, I wore 21 and 18 growing up.
Add that together, it's 39.
Well, no, but
That's what I was
21.
That was like, whoa.
21's retired in Chicago, and so was 18. So you got Dennis Savard and Stan Mikita. So there was no really option for me to switch to. And I think I wore 11 at some point, and I'm pretty sure someone was wearing 11 on the team. So I was 38, and it was too late to change at that point.
A lot of times that's how it was for me too. Like you go through your list of numbers that you like, and it's like taken. I actually don't care anymore.
I wore 4 my first game pro.
4?
Yeah, I came
Strong.
up from juniors, and they didn't have a jersey ready for me, so I wore a defenseman's jersey who didn't report to because his college team was still going, or I guess they had that and he couldn't sign yet, but they were waiting for him to sign, and so I took over number 4 for I don't know if I wore that the whole. There's like 12 games I played in. I might have wore all of them.
Oh, nice. Didn't know that.
Awful forward number.
Yeah, that is a tough one. A single number on a forward's tough.
9 isn't bad. I don't think.
I think 7's okay.
7's fine.
Anything below 7 is tough.
2,
Too
3,
low.
4,
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, you got like Neil Broughton 7, Madonna 9. So those do okay in Minnesota.
The reason, and so 38, have you ever been to Club 38? I think it's called Number 38, a bar in Denver.
No.
Great spot. So I was out, this is probably 2 years ago with Cliff, because Cliff, the equipment manager, and Tony were at this spot, and it's a great setup. So you walk in and you get to the front desk and you just give them your credit card, and then you get a wristband. And the wristband has like an ID number in it. So you just like rub your wristband up there, and then it pays for everything the rest of the night. Like you don't have to bring your wallet out. You don't have to.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was great. But then I just started to buy everything. So I was buying beer, and that was great. Then I had too many beers. And then we're on our way out, and I was like, you know what? This place is awesome. Number 38. Ryan Hartman would love this shirt. So then I bought like 3 shirts off the top.
Yeah.
And I was gonna like bring the shirts and give them to you. And Tony's like, dude, do you have any idea how weird that is? Like if you just show up one day,
I would have loved that.
if you just give some dude a shirt. So I actually wore it today.
You got it on right now?
We're at number 38. The
Hey,
shirt.
give him a look.
Yeah.
Give him a look. We got to go all the way here.
Yeah, we'll take it all the way up.
It seems like
that's a great logo,
That's a
too.
great. That's a great shirt for him too.
Yeah,
Is that me on top, too?
Yeah. They're great shirts.
We gotta,
Yeah.
we got to
That's-
get like a. I guess we can't. Yeah, that's probably copyrighted. Can't probably make that.
But the next day I had my tail between my legs. So maybe I had too much beer and I was full of anxiety. I was like, I can't.
That's for sure. The
don't
beer
tell-
anxiety. Yeah.
Sometimes you write checks at night, and then when you wake up, you're
Yeah.
like, no.
That sounded
not
like
gonna
such a
do
good
that.
idea. Now I have like 3 shirts from the number 38 club. So, yeah, we'll
Great
get
shirt.
you.
We might have to stop in that place.
Hey, we got a game we designed for you. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. This is called What Would Hartsy Do? And it comes about, just a quick intro. I had to go do a film something, and I came downstairs in the X, and I randomly walked through the LA Kings sewer ball 2-touch game. And the ball came right at me. And I had this moment where I'm like, I kind of thought about just knocking the ball down because they were trying to keep it up. And then you guys are right around the corner. I've never seen how that all works. Yeah. And when we came back, Karts was like, yeah, you got to knock that ball down. You got to disrupt that 2-touch game. You know, what would Hartsy do? And so the way this game works is I got 10 things. We're gonna just give you scenarios, and then Karts and I have to decide how you would handle the scenario, and you tell us which is right. Okay. So we're starting with 2-touch.
So one of your answers are right all the time.
Not necessarily.
You can say no.
And you can also pass, and we can guess the same thing. So we could both think you're going to do something, and you agree. And if you don't want to answer, you don't have to answer. So the first one is 2-touch. Same scenario I was in. You guys play right next to the opposition. If you somehow were walking over there, and they were in the middle of their game, and the ball came near you, do you disrupt their 2-touch game? I say he does, if he has an opportunity.
I say he doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably try to keep it up.
Okay, so you would help him.
So you'd extend it.
Yeah.
So Karts won. This is you got to think kind of your whole career. So the classic, there's a whistle, the puck's right by the net, just a little push into the net. The goalie's biggest violation, just the whistle's already happened, just a little push into the net. I don't think you would do it now, but I think you have done it in the past.
I'd double down on this one and
I
say
love
he does
that.
it every single time he can.
Like just a little across the line.
Yeah. I feel like I used to do it, and now I think the refs have caught on to some of that stuff. So I've tried to stay away from it.
All right, we're 1-1. Okay, I'm cheating a little bit of this because I saw it the other night. But if fans are all over you, they're saying stuff to you, do you ever engage? Do you ever give them the benefit of the doubt, circle back? I say yes for sure.
Yeah, I think you do, but I think you're pretty reserved too. Like you pick.
Got to be careful.
Yeah,
I 100% would, especially when the bird's being flipped around. The crazy thing is, I feel like after the game was over, I'm like, I wish I could apologize to that guy.
Yeah.
I wish I could say sorry, because in the moment, I feel like I'm so different off the ice than on the ice. Like I feel like I'm a little
The wires cross.
too revved up out there.
That's
Much Red
okay.
Bull.
We like it. This one's probably easy. This is one of my favorite plays. You're crossing in front of the net, going to your bench. It's the old, I'm not going to change my direction at all. Little shoulder bump, maybe even a little slash on the legs. I say 100%. Yes. But you got to be honest. Maybe he doesn't do this.
I would say that that's now like similar to where he would do it early on, but like this year more than any, you've had to maybe steer away from a few of those things. So I would say early on, yes. But
All right, let's see.
I try to hold my ground as much as possible. I like to
You're just
stay
going
out of the right away. Yeah,
You're just going in a straight line.
yeah.
I'm in my lane.
Yeah.
Stay in my
It's
lane.
like the
lane.
Bennington play.
Yeah.
That's good.
This one I'm very curious about because this is kind of a beer league thing. You're playing someone, you know the other guys on the team, and you say their name to try to get them to dump the puck to you. This is like in bad beer league. This would be like saying trailer to someone that's on the other team and they give it to you. No idea if this happens in the National League. I'm sure it doesn't. But you're playing against Parisi.
For sure it happens.
Zach. And he flips it back to you. I hope you do this. I bet you don't, but I'm going to say you do.
I'm going to say he does.
It's been done.
I had one this year. I felt bad about. This is my daughter's 10U team, and we're up a goal with, I don't know, like 10 seconds left, and the girl's coming down on like a breakaway by the blue line, and I started yelling, shoot, 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 and she shot from the blue line with like 6 seconds left.
And you're on the bench?
That's a 10-year-old game. What am I doing?
It's only getting
It's just
started.
locked in there.
And the girls on the bench looked at me so proud, and they're like, "That was such a good move." I was like, "Yeah."
There's nothing more frustrating when it happens to you though.
Right.
You look
I
back
do-
and
I
it's
would-
just a guy turning around going the other way. It's like, oh,
I would do it on the forecheck. Like first period, if you hear like somebody say reverse or whatever their word is, like dank or
Rim.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you'll say it so they might reverse it right to you.
I love it. It's one of. I think it's one of the best kinds of dirty.
my favorite's when a guy who's maybe not the best skill guy, I'm trying to think of some names, I won't say any names, comes down with nothing but time and you just dump it. Quinville actually used to do that to me when we played against, after he left and went to Florida. He would yell, dump it, when I'd have like a 2-on-1 coming down the bench. Dump it!
Like as a joke?
I don't think, maybe a little bit, but I think he's kind of serious.
Talking during warm-ups. This is like you guys are both on the ice during warm-ups a little. I don't think you do that. Like across the center line.
But
just
it's like what? Like chirping or like buddy?
chirping. Like starting it before the game. I think he does not do that.
I would say you would do it.
I'm trying to think of the last person. I mean, not a whole lot.
Doesn't come up much.
Doesn't come up much.
But it's not like you wouldn't be like, no, I won't do that.
We used to do a thing called mystery biscuits. You ever hear of those?
No.
It's only internationally. There's no refs international play out on the ice.
In warm-ups?
Not in the NHL either, but obviously you're not going to do this in the NHL, but guys would sit at the top of the circles with their stick ramped up, the guy in the corner with a bunch of pucks and just ramp them up and they just go flying into the other end and just
Trying to hit people.
just the other team. Just send it into the other zone.
You still do that, don't you? It was like one of the last pucks you shoot in warm-up. Do you fire it down the other end into the empty net?
No, but I know there's like 4 guys that do it in the league, and I stand in our net.
Is that what it is? You stop it, won't let them do it?
Yeah.
That's great.
Only in our building.
Mystery
Their
biscuits.
Their building,
is
you
fun.
let them have it?
Our building, not a chance. But yeah, Mystery Biscuits was a great game.
We need a shirt for that. Okay, guy gets flipped into the bench from the other team. Are you the guy? Maybe like let me help you up here. Oh, your stick. I'm stepping on your stick a little bit. I think for sure, guy gets checked into his bench. Does he kind of make it difficult for him to get back out of the bench?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's just like a lean over.
Yeah,
Just kind of just
Just the,
keep them
don't
under
get
there.
out of the way.
Maybe a few.
Okay, almost done here. How about you're in the penalty box. You continue to chirp with the guy in the other penalty box. I say yes, right? I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, this is one I'm curious about. Your wires are crossed so bad that you engage on social media. This would be like a Brad Marchand. I don't know, Bennington says something on Twitter and then you're doing something. I think no.
I would say no.
I'm a yes. There's a few ones that are too. I have this one guy that he'll always message me and he's like, I guess I messed up his parlay by not getting 3 shots or something.
Oh, and the prize picks?
Yeah.
Nice.
And and I just one of those, just like, what'd you bet? Like 25 cents? Like, relax, chill out. And
You can't lose in that one. If somebody's getting mad at you about that, like that's one you can't lose.
No, but I don't. Besides that, maybe 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 a like it, just something about me that's bad. Maybe just a little like to let them know.
A little
I saw
trolling.
It. Yeah,
that's good. Well, you do have 47,000 Instagram followers, but you're private. I mean, that's a great mystery to me. I requested, just so you know, if you see it in there.
I just did that for this past St. Louis game. It'll be back.
Oh, after the game.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Last one.
It'll probably be back today.
Good. I'm in. I'm standing in line. Gloves come off. A glove comes off a guy on the other team, and he's still playing the puck with a bare hand. Did you get a little bit excited? I say yes.
Say that one more time.
Glove comes off.
Yeah.
He's got one bare hand on his stick. He's still in the zone playing the puck. I'm not saying you're doing anything dirty, but do you have a flash of excitement when you see the bare hand? I say yes.
No.
Ah, dang.
For the PTSD watching
From getting stepped on?
Duncan Keith.
Yeah.
Who tried to slash his hand? Remember in playoffs against LA? He lost his gloves, went to go grab it, and someone hit his hand, and then he came with the wraparound slash to the face. Yeah, I don't want that.
I have one. Chirp a coach. What do you think, Kinger? Like an opposing coach.
I think
sometimes.
Yeah, I think he's pretty freewheeling. I say yeah.
Yeah.
That's a tough one, but some coaches will get rattled. I think I was hollering at Paul Maurice once, and he lost his mind on me. But he's one of those guys that like won't cross the line. Like he doesn't say anything about players or anything. But I was like joking with him, I think, because he had coached me before. But yeah, chirping a coach is like a fine line. But you could really get a team riled up if you get them.
My favorite was I don't know what year it was, 2010. It was one of the Hawks Cup years. They were playing Vancouver. I think it was the conference finals. I think Kaner scored like 3 goals in the first, or 2 goals and an assist in the first period, and they were matching him up with one of their fourth line guys. And I wouldn't know the name, but he goes by the bench after scoring a goal, and he looks at their head coach, says the kid's name that's supposed to be matching up with him. He says, have some respect. He's just like chirping him about trying to match him up with this fourth line guy. It's like, yeah, have some respect. You know, I thought that was pretty good.
That dude's on a different level, huh? Like when he wants to score, he just can.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's guys that you try to let sleep in those situations.
Right.
Certain guys like
You don't want to stir him up.
Ben from Dallas is just let him sleep. Otherwise, he'll score.
Right.
Don't poke the bear.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the Instagram because, the engagement, we saw some photos. Like, how was that? That had to be nerve-wracking. Like,
Yeah, I was.
That was last summer?
This was this past summer, yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. I was didn't think I'd get nervous. I was trying to calm myself down about it all day. Had all her friends fly in, so they were kind of tracking her all day, and then we went. Thing is, like, the Red Hot Chili Peppers were playing I think it was a Friday. We're playing Friday at Soldier Field, and I've been talking about this for a year and a half. Oh, I can't wait to go. And the weekend's coming. She goes, "Hey, we going?" I'm like, it's okay. I don't need to go. She's just like, "What do you mean we're not going?
Hard
We've been
turn.
talking about this forever." I'm like, I don't know. Couldn't really find tickets. And it's like, yeah, you can find tickets. There's tickets on sale right here. And I was like, I just not feeling it. I don't feel good. And we never eaten dinner before 7 o'clock, and we did a 5 o'clock dinner. And then the ring box was too big. Not that the ring was that big, but it was just the box was too thick. And so I had to go raw dog in my pocket. And
that was like nervous.
So I pretty much I just had my thumb over my pants, over my jeans, in the hole of the ring the whole dinner, just making sure it didn't fall out. Yeah.
So you go out to dinner, then
We did a 5 o'clock dinner. It was the air and water show. I feel like all my plan A's, I feel like I was on like plan F.
Yeah, because I want to get to this.
The air and water show was going on, and
You're at an Applebee's.
yeah, yeah. And so we're all like, I was like, okay, well, how do I get? Because I had my buddy's brother, who's a professional photographer, waiting in the spot where I wanted to do it, and I'm like, it's perfect, the air and water show. I can just make that excuse that it's out there, and we want to go see it after dinner. So I made sure to make dinner, end before 6-ish. So I'm like, yeah, well, let's walk over to this area and go see the air and water show. She goes, oh, that ended at 2 o'clock. Like, Oh, it might still be going on. She goes, no, there's no planes out there anymore. They're done.
I don't hear any planes, but you never know. It just might be.
It might be still going on.
I think people hang out for a while.
Yeah.
There might be birds.
So then I'm like, I got to figure this out. So then I'm like, all right, I just got to lie and just be like, all right, our friends are over there. We got to go meet them for a beer. So she's like, oh, that sounds fun. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. There we go. We'll go. Yeah. So that's how that day went.
Did she know?
No.
Yeah. Dudes, that's so crazy. Like you feel like she knew like every step of the way was like a clue, and then she had no idea.
Yeah.
So then do you all go to the Chili Peppers concert together?
We did. No, they were all just waiting at the house. Actually, Dums came. He was there with his girlfriend, who's a close friend with my fiance, and they were there help setting up all day. And her parents were there. My mom, my aunt were there. They kind of decorated my deck, and we're in there when she opened the door for a big surprise. So
that's awesome.
And they set. I mean, I can't really take any credit for that. I was kind of like, hey, I would like you guys to be there, but I have no planning skills. If you guys can just find a weekend, and sure enough, they made it for the Friday of the Chili Peppers concert. So
if this was
shows how much I love her, though.
Yeah,
I chose her over the Chili Peppers.
If you're ever looking to hydrate after a little bit too much excitement, a little bit too much fun, following a wild game, maybe an overtime victory, shootout goal from Freddie Gaudreau, and you're looking for a nice glass of water, hey, look no further than Aquarius Home Service. And also, if you're looking for a one-stop shop for all your home services needs, my friends over at Aquarius Home Services provide the highest quality water treatment, plumbing, heating and cooling, and electrical services. They respect you, your time, and attention to detail, and that's really what makes a difference. Their 100% performance guarantee is backed by the best material, product, and labor warranties in the business. Aquarius believes in earning the right to be recommended. They're just a click away at aquariushomeservices.com. So if this was plan B or C or whatever it was, what was plan A?
Plan A was what was the first thing I was saying?
I think you had told me once upon a time you were gonna maybe
Anthony
propose at a wedding or something.
Okay, so that Russo lost that in translation. I was gonna do it. We were going to Stillwater for a wedding, and I was gonna think about doing it the Sunday after, but I knew I was gonna be too hungover, we're both pretty bad hungover people, so I'm like that wasn't gonna happen. She wasn't gonna get dressed up nice after, so I'm like maybe I'll do it. We'll get to Stillwater like Thursday, Friday, and I'll do it like a couple days before the wedding. And it's just like, I talked to some of her friends about it. They're like, it's like, you don't want a freshly proposed person, especially if she's in the wedding, like at the wedding. You know, think like the rehearsal dinner and like the wedding, and maybe just like some people just be like, oh, you congratulate. Like it's like not supposed to be about someone else, right? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that
makes sense.
We'll go plan B, and then I went to plan C and D. Yeah.
I think that's how it goes.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it works. Instagram, what makes a good caption? Because scrolling through yours, it's summer 2022, and then next one will be something short, like let's roll, or
I have no idea. It's just one of those. Yeah, I don't know. I just try to put something clever, but not. I don't know. I really.
But don't overthink it.
I actually don't know what I say on there, to be honest. I just kind of
whatever.
Throw it up and see what happens.
Have you been hunting or fishing at all recently?
Fishing. No, didn't do any fishing in Cabo. Didn't do any fishing in Florida. Haven't done any of that. Last time I hunted was Halloween. That COVID season when our season started after Christmas. That was.
How about golf? This was the road trip where you had the extra couple days in Arizona, right? Was that tasty? Did you get some rounds of golf in?
Golfed in Arizona. Gonna golf in Vegas when we go out there. Gonna actually ship my clubs out there, which would be nice.
Who's the strongest foursome of golfers on the Wild? If you had to compete in a PGA event, who would you submit top four?
So I haven't seen Nyquist is a +2, but obviously he's hurt right now.
+2.
Yeah, he's apparently really good. So let's just say if it's happening this weekend, he can't play.
He's out.
He's out. I'll say Boldy. I know JoJo's really good, but I don't think he's been playing much as of late. I'll go JoJo, and then I'd say me and Dums have played probably in the last 7 or 8 times we've played. We've shot the exact same score every single round. So I'd say we'd I just match him up.
Strong foursome. What's it like playing with Kirill and Zuki? What's it like? What's it like on the ice? The chatter. They sit in that spot on the bench down at the end, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
With the door just banging into Kirill all the time.
Yeah.
What's it like playing with those guys?
It's great. I mean, sometimes I like to just let them do their thing and just try to be their potato chip, I guess.
Little crunch.
Yeah, their crunch. Sometimes I'll sit and stay with them at the end of the bench.
Sometimes you slide.
Yeah, sometimes I'll feel left out and I'll just slide down and they're talking a lot. Just depends.
So if Kirill's spot is bad right there, because he's next to the door and like the door will always hit him at home,
That's why he got hurt, man. That door's just been pounding his leg.
I think he likes
years.
it. He just kind of opens the door and.
But then if you were next to him and you stayed in that spot, that'd be the worst spot because everybody has to like walk past you and then
The third spot?
Yeah, the third one would be the worst.
Third spot's because the guy comes and looks at you like you're going to slide. And then it's just like, all right, I'll go.
Funny.
You had a couple crazy goals this year off the chest, off the shoulder. You got hit by the puck the other night in St. Louis. What's it like when you're trying to get going and you literally, the Hartman put one in off the heart at one point. What was it like just having those pucks find their way into the net off your body?
Yeah, those are the ones you need when you're not scoring, for sure. Those can kind of lighten you up a little bit and take the pressure off. But it seemed like for a while I didn't really need a stick out there. You just kind of just go stand in front of the net and just
it was working.
Let it hit me. Yeah.
One more agitator question, because I think, you ever think about adding a little element to your kit, right? So Kachuk's got the mouth guard that he's always chewing on that just has to make people want to.
That annoys me.
Oh my! It just has to make people so angry. Early in his career, Crosby used to play with the visor, like it was like straight up back when he used to whine, or they said he whined. What maybe we could do a little something with your jersey, or what could we add to, because you draw a lot of penalties as it is. There's plenty of people that, get frustrated and you draw a lot of penalties. You have anything you could do, maybe like fully tuck in your jersey, or what would agitate you if you saw it on the ice, like that mouth guard from Kachuk?
Maybe a turtleneck.
Oh, turtleneck would be.
Plekanec, remember that dude? Yeah.
Walker's got a little kind of.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, maybe turtleneck or just like a neck guard.
Yeah, turtleneck or neck guard is strong. How's Walker been filling in the cake eater from Edina? How's he doing with the big boys on that line?
He's good. He's got speed. He can make plays. No, he's talented. He's got a good shot. I mean, I think he's got really good awareness out there, which is nice.
What's his personality like? All I've ever heard about him is just like the nicest guy. Like when he was at the Gophers, he was a captain super early and was just kind of like this gregarious guy, ran a hockey camp for kids. Is he just a rock solid good dude, or what do you know about him?
Just nice kid, really, really quiet. Kind of like how, I feel like a lot of guys are when they first come into an NHL locker room. It's, you almost feel like talk when spoken to. It's kind of like you don't want to like start the conversation ever, so you always got to try to go up to them and engage at first, just to loosen them up a little bit. But that comes with being around longer and feeling more comfortable about that. But yeah.
Let's hit you with a couple hockey questions. I want to get back to your shot a little bit because you kind of score some like greasy goal scorer goals. You had one the other day, 2-on-1. You shot it like right on the ice, 5-hole, like fool the goalie a little bit. Like when you're feeling it, does that just come to you? Like this year was kind of up and down, like tough start, right? Then injury and trying to get goals, get them off your chest. And now it kind of seems like the mojo's back a little bit.
Yeah.
And goals like that, does it just come to you? Like, you're trying to hide the shot in that spot or,
Yeah. That one was weird because watching the replay, like I took the puck from the guy that wasn't facing the goalie pass, but the goalie, if you look at it closely, like when I get the puck, I cross the blue line, he's facing his net. So, like casually, like I almost shot it as soon as I got the puck. I almost just threw it because he didn't know I got the puck. He thought the puck was still going that way. So I like almost shot it. And when he turned around, he saw me coming and he was pretty far.
Off on his angle?
Yeah, he was pretty far off. And so I had the whole my left side. But yeah, I feel like there's a few times this year I tried deking on a breakaway. I've told some of the guys I will never deke again on a breakaway. I'm just going to shoot it every time.
How do you get breakaways? So, like, what are you looking for? One of those ones where it's a winger, you see that your point man maybe shoots it a little bit, and you just take that little loop with your head over your shoulder thinking, all right, if our guy gets this, I'm gone kind of thing?
There's some where, like, there's a bouncing puck going to the D, and I like, as a winger, there's a D on the wall. Teams that like to go D to D, and they kind of stay pretty wide, that you can kind of go up to your D and start skating back towards the middle and wait until he gets the pass, and then you kind of just bait him into trying to go across, and then you just kind of
jump in there.
But if you miss it, sometimes you miss it, or you over go and they pass it behind you. That kind of looks bad. But, I'm not a big breakaway guy. I don't know how many I've gotten, but I definitely don't get a lot of them.
I don't know. I feel like a couple is a lot even.
I had 2 last game, which, I guess one was kind of a 2-on-1, but that was the one I scored was kind of a breakaway. I've had one against Arizona, but I definitely don't get a lot of breakaways.
So the team loses Kaprizov, and all of a sudden they score 8, 5, and 4 after going on a run of 10 games, scoring like 2 or less, right? Yeah. So, like, did something change, or is it just this is the way hockey works?
I think it's just guys, maybe. Everyone's always trying to score. It's not like we're like, oh, we got Kirill, we just take a seat. I think it's just the fact that we know that we don't have that guy to score out of the goals all the time, and guys have really stepped up. Like Reavo and Shaw and Dewar's line have stepped up great for us. Everyone's trying to pull a little extra weight without them, and we've been succeeding like that.
I don't think we've had a shirtless interview from you yet, have we?
No.
Are we going to see one at some point?
Probably not.
Because you always have a sweater on, or
always have a sweater on, yeah. Yeah. I get a little hairy, so I try. I don't look as good as those guys do.
I think the
standard's been set, and funny.
Magnum PI, man, people like that. Most interesting man. I got plenty of hair up there too. I think for us, you should do it. Yeah. I was thinking the tarps off thing's so interesting. I was imagining in a playoff game, a wild playoff game. Just can you imagine just if all the fans, the guys took their shirts off? How insane that would be. That's a hostile environment if you look into the crowd and everyone's tarps off. But I don't think the Excel Energy Center would like that. Oh, those are just guys that run hot, like Reavo and Middleton. They just want it off.
Well, that's how Middleton started. Middleton started the whole thing, right?
Middleton's fully naked under
all the time,
like top to bottom, naked. No under. I don't even know if he wears socks. It's everything.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's a little different.
It also makes sense. Like he's too hot to wear anything.
He runs hot. Yeah, he runs really hot.
But that's still I don't know. That just feels like it'd make it worse, doesn't it? Like you just soak the whole time. At least, like if you run hot, you can change your shirt every period. Like get a dry one. Now you're just soaked.
Yeah.
Hey, did you work the docks in Hilton Head? Is that bad info? Were you a dock boy, like one of those guys?
I was a dock boy, but I worked actually on the boat.
Like Flamingo Kid, like you had dock shoes and.
No, like I was first mate on a boat called the Shadow.
Oh, that's great.
South Beach. So I baited lines. I gaffed some fish. I filleted some fish. What else was my job? Oh, I got the worst was like we used to have to make chum, and we'd leave a bucket of dead fish on the dock for 4 or 5 days
to get kind of like
get smelly and rotten, and I'd have to stomp them, and then if you get any juice of that on your hands, it smells for days. But I'd every couple of weeks I'd have to go under with goggles and clean the bottom of the boat in the marina. and this is at the end of the day.
I can't believe this is a real story.
Yeah, and
since you started it,
and I'm like 10 years old, 11, 12 years old, like working on this boat,
filleting fish.
And the captain would just get rid of the chum while I'm under the boat in the marina. You just dump them.
And then all the fish are
I'm
coming?
sitting there. Well, there's not that many fish, but there's sharks in that marina like all the time.
Oh.
And I'm sitting there scraping. And I look down. It's just blood and dead fish floating right behind me. I'm like, this is a joke. I don't get paid enough for this. I don't get paid at all. You guys are getting paid.
Chumming the sharks while you're cleaning the boat.
This is not what I want to do with my
I was
life.
making $10 an hour as a 11-year-old. And plus tips. So I was.
I think that's how we introduce you from now on.
I want to know
First
this
mate
captain.
from the shadow, the 38 special.
Tommy, I can't remember his last name now. Tommy, he looks exactly what a boat captain. He's kind of got the Jaws. Who's the guy in Jaws that gets eaten? He
Yeah, the
flies
guy
off
that's
boat.
like, we're gonna need a bigger
Yeah,
boat.
does he smoke? He seems like he smokes.
He's kind of got that look, way skinnier than that guy, but looks just like him.
That's awesome.
I sold golf balls. That was my other job down there.
You found them on the course and then sold them.
We would
Like go out of the pond.
So my grandma lived like on the Harbor Town course down there, and we go to the what hole is it? 14. All the par threes with water, honestly, and we get a bike
tire,
basket.
like a rim.
Yeah,
Oh, a basket.
and put a rope on it and throw it in across, and then just slowly pull it on the bottom. You pull out like 50 golf balls. We'd bleach them and then bring them to CVS and sell them for 5 cents a ball.
I love that your childhood is like every 1980s movie I ever saw when
Yeah.
I was growing up. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I just have two more. I'm really curious. How's Kirill managing without hockey? Because he seems like a total rink rat. I just imagine him being like losing his mind, not being able to be on the ice.
Yeah, he was playing. He was in the room while we were getting dressed today, stick handling with a piece of clear tape.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That sounds about right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So he's doing good.
yeah.
He didn't go to the Bahamas like Zuki told him to. And then, hey, just compare the two seasons. You know, last year was like this magic and come from behind, and this year's felt almost to us like you've been in the playoffs all year, which I think is kind of good for the playoffs potentially. But how do the two seasons from last year's sort of specialness or magicness to what's this year about? What have they felt like to you?
A little bit more of a grind. I mean, last year it felt not easy to score, but like things were just going right at all times. There was a lot of adversity with coming from behind, but there was a point last year where like the adversity didn't even seem like adversity because we just would
You knew.
tie the game up and then occasionally win the game. So, but this year's felt more like, you got to, grind this out. And, we lost a few times. We've lost 3 in a row. And I don't know how many times we did that last year, but, this year's felt a little more like a grind and more defensive. But I think it's been good for us because, I think we've had a good stretch of, I think the last 3 or 4 games haven't been great defensively for us. But the stretch even before that, though, we were unbelievable defensively.
Just locked in for about a month.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we just need to find that and keep that, and then hopefully the scoring picks up as well. As it's kind of like golf where sometimes it's the driver's working, but you can't putt, or the driver's not working, but you make everything,
Something always changes.
You just got to try to find the day where everything's working at once. So hopefully that comes here the next couple weeks.
Last one I have. You ever look over your shoulder? Because, technically you're a felon now, just like myself. We stole Addison's car. How did that go? So I was nervous about that legitimately because I didn't know. Like we went in there and they're like, it's like looked like a chop shop the way that they're dealing with Addison's car. And I was sweating. Like, you guys sure you can get this back to normal?
I think the car's back to, I've asked him, like, everything's all good, right? He's like, yeah, everything's fine.
Yeah.
But when he had the whole bottom of the car taken off.
And I was like, everything's going to work out good.
So we're going to go 50-50 on this, split the cost of this car. Everything was good. I do forget, though, that we can always just throw that thing right back.
Yeah, you can hook it back up.
I keep forgetting about that. Maybe one of these days.
So what he's alluding to is,
How do you hook it back up?
so
There's just a little connection behind the.
Oh, that's
back.
great.
So they did 2 things. They took the muffler off and put like a whistle tip in there.
Yeah.
So it would be like down the road. The second one is they somehow wired the brake
And the turn signals.
to the horn.
Yeah.
So like when he turns his signal on, it'll be like honk, 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 honk. Just hilarious.
Yeah.
And all it is like you complete like the circuit in the back. You unplug one little wire and you plug it back in. It's right
Okay,
back.
so a couple questions. Who do you get to do this? And by the way, if you see like Addison just go flying off of a bridge in like a week, I mean, it seems so scary.
Yeah.
These guys who's in the business of wiring brake lights to horns to, I mean,
We could
who did
tell you, but
find?
we'd have to delete you.
God, that's amazing to have that in your Rolodex. I'm impressed.
Yeah. So
Knows a guy.
yeah,
knows the guy.
We know a guy.
You know a guy.
Yeah, but it worked out because the team was gone for a week and you were injured at the time. And so it worked out.
And they lost me the first game.
Yeah. That's the other part we were sweating is if they lose coming back because the plane had to land and then everybody waited for this to occur so they could see it.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been as funny when guys are down.
Yeah, it was well executed.
I was anxious big time, but yeah, it was fun. All right. Well, thanks for hanging with us, man. Appreciate it. Enjoy St. Patty's Day. I know you're from Chicago. The river's probably green there.
Yeah, it is.
I'll try to have myself a green beer today and save you one for tomorrow or the next day. But
Yeah, good luck
appreciate
against
it.
Boston.
Yeah,
Thanks for being back.
Yeah, thanks, guys.